email from an attorney, and it scares the life out of them. And
usually it scares the life out of their board.
Right, out of the board, and they don't do anything. A lot more we could get to, but we just don't have time. But yeah, I want to encourage these CPCs because you're going to be attacked. Mm-hmm. We've talked about it here before. The closer we get to winning, and we are getting closer to winning, the more vicious and nasty these people are going to become. Right. And so just everybody get ready for it. It's going to happen. Don't worry about it.
There's legal help out there. There's support groups out there. We will help you the best we can.
Right, exactly. We'll be right back. Recently, the abortion lobby began sending coat hangers to members of Congress, warning them that excluding abortion coverage from Obama's plan for socialized medicine would return us to the days of women dying from back alley abortions. But wait a minute. We don't have socialized medicine right now, which means that we don't have abortions being paid for under such a program. In other words, we currently live in the very environment that the abortion lobby is claiming will produce thousands of corpses with coat hangers sticking out of them. So if that is true, where are all these dead women? I mean, if the pro-choice mob isn't lying, then they need to tell us who these women are. Of course, we all know they can't do that because they've been lying about the coat hanger abortion myth for the last 40 years, and today they are lying about it again. It's just a different lie. But as I've said before, if the coat hanger abortion problem is not a myth, there is a perfect solution to it. First, understand that pro-lifers don't do abortions. If abortion were outlawed today and illegal abortionists started springing up next week, every one of them would be someone who is pro-choice. In fact, every woman who was ever killed or maimed during an abortion, whether it was legal or illegal, was killed or maimed by someone who was pro-choice. Every single one. So obviously, the way to prevent women from dying in coat hanger abortions is for those people who call themselves pro-choice not to do coat hanger abortions. And when the day comes we've returned legal protection to the unborn, they could also help us pass legislation requiring that A, people who commit illegal abortions are to be prosecuted under the same homicide statutes that apply to any other hired killer, and B, anyone who coerces a woman to have an illegal abortion or helps arrange an illegal abortion is to be charged as an accessory to homicide. Of course, they're never going to do any of that because they never cared about this issue to begin with. They are simply trying to make it look like you and I are responsible for the pregnant women they are threatening to kill. The fact is, every time someone in the pro-choice mob starts hyperventilating about women dying from dirty coat hangers, the blood they're talking about is on their hands, not ours. I mean, any way you look at it, when you hear them say that if abortion is made illegal or not funded by the government, women will die, what they're really saying is, if you stop us from killing babies, we're going to start killing women.
Society can prevent those who are manifestly unfit from continuing their kind. 3 generations of imbeciles are enough. I do not join in the belief that the African is our equal in brain or in heart.
We are paying for and even submitting to the dictates of an ever-increasing, unceasingly spawning class of human beings who never should have been born at all.
The laws of nature require the obliteration of the unfit.
The best way to hate a nigger is to hate him before he is born.
American eugenicists were routinely praising Hitler and holding up the Nazi eugenics program as a model for the United States to copy.
Non-white races must be excluded from America. The red and black races, if left to themselves, revert to a savage or semi-savage state in a short time. The only way possible of decreasing Negro population is by means of controlling fertility. Birth control facilities could be extended relatively more to Negroes than to whites, since Negroes are more concentrated in the lower income and education classes.
We hope that the restraint of population growth can come about through voluntary means. But if it does not, involuntary methods will be used.
There should be national sterilization for certain dysgenic types of our population who are being encouraged to breed and would die out were the government not feeding them.
If this movement continues, We soon may be accused of fighting poverty by eliminating the poor and overcoming hunger by removing the hungry.
For all their failures, what the eugenics movement had accomplished was to lay the foundation for the next phase of their plan. And this is where they would find the success that they had been chasing for over 100 years.
Welcome back. Well, again, we were talking about healthcare again, and you know, I don't want people to get the idea that we're a one-trick pony here, but this thing's got to be stopped. I mean, and there's things going on behind the scenes, and we're fortunate today to have a couple of guests that are in the D.C. area that watch this stuff, that are fighting the battle. First up, we got Michael Hitchborn from the American Life League, and they're in Stafford, Virginia, but he works with Judy Brown there. And Michael, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. You've written some stuff that's pretty damning about Planned Parenthood. Basically, you're saying that the debauchery of these people that we all know is very well documented will become part of the government under this new plan.
Well, there's definitely a very good, strong possibility that this could be the case. The Senate bill has Section 1823, and it's on page 503. And I just want to read you what it says. It'll create a National Teen Pregnancy Prevention Resource Center. And under that it says the Secretary shall award a grant to a nationally recognized nonpartisan nonprofit organization that meets the requirements described in Clause 2 to establish and operate a National Teen Pregnancy Prevention Resource Center. Now, if you look at Clause 2, it says the organization has demonstrated experience working with and providing assistance to a broad range of individuals and entities to reduce teen pregnancy.
So in other words, they already know who it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's almost as if it was written specifically for Planned Parenthood.
Right, right. So they're going to be actually, if this healthcare thing passes, which we've said, again, we said it earlier, Johnny, you can't parse this deal. It's got to be stopped. And this is a classic example. They don't have the guts just to come out and say, we're going to establish this as Planned Parenthood. They describe Planned Parenthood. Is that what you're saying, Michael?
Yes, that is correct.
If you go back to Obama's speech to Planned Parenthood while he was on the campaign trail, remember, he was speaking to Planned Parenthood, and he said, reproductive rights or abortion is at the heart of my health care plan.
Right.
And the crowd went wild.
Right.
This is the payback. This is the kept promise. It's the one kept promise he is going to make.
Right. Just like Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was never loyal to anybody except the abortion lobby.
Except the abortionists.
Right. I also want to bring, Michael, we'll get back to you here in just a minute, but I want to bring Wendy Wright into the discussion. Wendy's president of Concerned Women for America. Hello, Wendy.
Hello, glad to be on.
Thank you for coming on with us. You've also had some thoughts on this that I've seen put out, and I want to kind of get your take. Is Michael and American Life League and me and Life Dynamics and all of us here, are we just out to lunch on this?
No, this bill is so outrageous that it's even caused many Democrats to oppose it. But that shouldn't give us any sense that the vote is done and over with. We still need to work very hard. The current Senate bill will pay for abortions. It's even worse than the original House bill. And in fact, the reason why it's worse is because it allows the Secretary of Health and Human Services, who right now is Kathleen Sebelius, the best friend to late-term abortionists that we've ever had in a high position in Washington, D.C., it would allow her to determine whether the health care plans will allow abortion or not. Now, if the Secretary of Health and Human Services does allow abortion, then the states cannot opt out. The states would have to pay for abortion. Now, let's say in the future there ends up being a pro-life Secretary of Health and Human Services, and let's say that secretary decides not to allow the federal funds to pay for abortions. The way the bill is written, the states can. So it's kind of a one-way road that will always give preference for both the federal government and the state governments to fund abortion.
This is so atrocious.
This is a scam these people are pulling.
Yeah. And on top of that, Wendy, help me out with this. As I read and understand the Senate bill, we're talking about the Senate bill now, that it's more than that. It's a stick in the eye of the pro-life movement because it actually requires not just abortion funding or funding to go to abortions, but an actual $1 premium for everybody to pay for abortions. An elective procedure.
Yeah, everyone that joins in will have to pay a premium to be a part of the program. So you have to pay it monthly, and your premium will go to pay for abortions. Now, and let's look at the big picture of it, too. Ultimately, this government program will allow for, or really require, that bureaucrats will decide what treatment you can and cannot get. And that will be determined very heavily by how much it costs. So let's bring this down to real-world reality. Let's say there's a woman who is pregnant. Now, prenatal care, delivery, postnatal care costs several $1,000s. If that baby has special needs or the mother has special needs, that increases the cost even more. So you've got a bureaucrat deciding, should we approve paying several $1,000s to care for this one, two patients, or pay $400 for an abortion? I think it's not unforeseeable that government bureaucrats will be approving abortion, but not approving normal, regular, moral health care for pregnant women.
What you're saying is they won't be approving it, Wendy. They'll be encouraging it. Yeah. At the point of a gun, basically saying, if you want to give birth to this baby, that's fine, but all the expenses are yours. But if you have an abortion, we'll pay for it.
Right. It's almost like women will have to be driven underground in order to get the kind of care that they need.
They already have a propensity to reduce the population. So that's their premise from which they're starting from.
Right, exactly.
And if you were governor of Texas and this passes, you can't do anything about it? You have to follow it?
They're saying that the states are going to have this opt-out deal. But this is pure nonsense because what the state's option is to opt out of the health care program, but you still have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. And it would be like you going to a car dealership and they're saying, you can choose to buy this car or not buy this car.